We'll go ahead and learn a few more commands such as moving things. We want to see how to move and rename files and folders. So we were working in our home directory, and we're going to continue working in this home directory with our folders that we created. So if I go to, say, folder 1, folder 1 like that, and do a listing, I can see that I have test 3, 4, and 5. And on the previous lesson, I created a file called, I think it was called like file 1 or something like that, and then I move it from one folder to another folder. The same command can be used if we want to move a folder as well. So the command mv will do two things. Mv has really two functions. One is that it can move a file or a folder from one location to another. It is also used to rename a file. Let's go ahead and create another file. And I'm using the command touch to create a new file. And I'm going to call it file 1. And let's do a listing now, and file 1 is there. Okay? If I want to move file 1 to a folder, I've done that command already. So the command will just be mv, and I specify the file, and then I specify, so that I'm specifying the source. So file 1 is the source, and then the destination. So for example, if I want to move file 1, that's the source, and the destination will be, let's put it in test 3, like that. Now if I do a listing, that file is no longer there, but it will be available in test 3, where we moved it, right? The command move, or mmv, like I said, functions to move a file from one location to another, which I've demonstrated already. I'll show you now how to we can use the same move command and to rename a file. The file that I have on screen there is just called file 1, and if I want to rename this file to file 2, I'm going to use the same command of mv, and then I specify the name of the file, file 1, and then I specify the new name, what I want the new name to be. I can call it file 2. So let's go ahead and do a listing of what is in this file, is in this folder here, and I have one file which is called file 3, and then I have this folder called test 3, 4, and 5. Now I said that the mv command can do two things. It can actually move a file from one location to another. It can also be used to rename a file. So let's say that I want to rename this file, file 3, and I want to give it a different name. I can issue the command mv, and then I specify the file name. The file name is file 3, and let's say I want to call it now file 1. Now it accepted the command, and if I do an ls or listing, I can now see that the file has been renamed to file 1. Okay, it is no longer file 3 as we saw here. Okay, so the move command, like I said, can move a file from one location to another. It can also rename a file. Now I've renamed file 3 to file 1, and this is the new listing, or the new name for file 1. If I want to use the same command of mv, and I want to move that file now from file 1 to test 3 to the folder test 3, let's do a listing first to see if there's anything in test 3. And there's a file called file 2 in test 3. Let's go ahead and move file 1 into test 3. So file 1, I'm going to move that and specify the folder now, test3. So I'm not renaming the file, I'm just moving the file. So if I do a listing, I will no longer see file 1, but that file now should be in a folder called test3. And I'm going to do a listing in test3. And it should, test3 now should contain two files, file 1 and file 2. And there's the file. Okay, they're both there. The command touch, if you want to create a file, we use the command say touch, and we specify the name of the file. So in this case, we can call it file 4. Give it a different name, and hit enter. So it will create the file, and just an empty file. We see the file there. Now, if we want to ever edit this file, how do we edit this file? We can use a what is called a text editor, and there are many text editors available for Linux that you can use. One very popular one is called VI, another is called Nano. I prefer using Nano because I just find it very easy to use. So the command is nano, which means that we are calling a program. Nano is the name of the text editor, and we specify the file name that already exists. So nano file 4, and it will open the file. Now here we can input whatever we need to add into this file. Okay. I am using Nano text editor, like that. So we've added a line to this file, and in order to save the file and exit, we can look at the options at the bottom here, and we have to do a key combination in order to save this file. So if you want to save the contents, which means that we want to write this file, or we look at the bottom, we have to press the combination, the key combination of Control and O, right? Sorry, Shift and O. So Shift O, sorry, Control and O will actually save the file, and it asks us, it's prompting us to name the file. Now notice here where it says file name, write to file at the bottom here, right? We can change the name if we want to, or we can save it with the same name. So I'm just gonna hit enter, and it saved the file. We can add more stuff here, right? We can just do that, and Control O will save it again. So Control O and enter. Now if you want to exit Nano or exit the text editor, the key combination is Control and X, and it exits the Nano, the Nano editor. We do a listing, we still see that we have the file 4, and now if we want to open file 4, or we want to examine the contents of this file, we use a different command called cat. So cat will display the contents of a file, and it can also display the contents of multiple files if you specify more than one. Say for example you have 2 or 3 files that you want to display the contents, you will just use the command cat and the name of the file that you want to display. So let's go file 4. We want to display the contents, file 4, and hit enter, and this is what we enter in the file. So it's displaying the contents of that file. So the cat command will do that. Okay, it will display the file. And if we have another file, it will display the contents of the first file that we input, or the first file name. Then it will display the contents of the second file. For example, if I had a file called file 5, like that, it will first display the contents of file 4. Then after that, it will display the contents of file 5.